Good afternoon from NYChessKids. My name is Saudin. In today's lesson, we'll talk about the Scotch game. So I'm going to introduce you to two different options for black here. Now look, when white plays e4, e5, knight to f3, knight to c6, the Scotch game starts with this move, pawn to d4. Now, black needs to take this pawn on d4 with a pawn, right? Any other move is not that good, right? Taking with a knight is not so good. Also playing move like d6 that I see very often in the children's games is not that good. We can come back to this and see what's wrong about those moves. Now, pawn takes, and here knight takes. So this is the introduction to Scotch game. The black can play knight to f6 and bishop to c5. Those are two very good moves for black. So let's see first move knight to f6. Knight is attacking the pawn, and white has two options here. White can play knight to c3 and defend the pawn, or knight to c6. That's another option for white. Now, let's see first knight to c3. Black can play here a very natural move, bishop to b4. Look, there is a pin, and there's this attack, right? So we can apply bishop d3 and protect the pawn because the knight is going to take the knight on d4. So what we can do, we can capture on c6. Black can take with a pawn, and now we can play bishop to d3. Right, so nice deployment of the pieces for white and black. Pawn goes to d5. We take on d5. Pawn takes on d5, and here we can play castling. Right, now black can play here castling or pawn to c6. Right, this way, and this is how this game can be played. Bishop to g5, and you can play c6, and we don't have to go further than this. If you can just remember those moves, it's good enough, right? The bishop now can go to e6, or queen can go to f3 and attack on f6. But having a double pawns here, like for instance, if the double pawn happens on f6, it's not that bad. Like it's possible to play this position if you trade bishop f6 and queen takes and pawn takes. Like black is okay here, right? Because the black has two bishops, and that gives you a little bit of the advantage for those 2 pawns that you have as a double pawns. Now we can go back and see what other options are here for black. The other move that, here, like instead of knight c3, white also can take knight to c6. If you are playing this with a white, I think this is a quite solid move, right? Knight to c6, and when a pawn takes, pawn goes to e5. So this gives a quite good game for both white and black. Queen goes to e7, makes a pin, right? And queen goes to e2, protects the pawn. And now knight can move to d5, right? So this is a very interesting position, right? This is something that you could play with the white side. Pawn to c4, right? Now bishop can go to a6 and make a pin, right? Pin on this pawn on c4 is pinned, right? Because bishop would take the queen. And now white can play b3. There are other moves here as well that white can play. So this is a quite complicated position, and it's also at the same time very, very interesting. It can give you an opportunity to explore your imagination, right? You can really even find some of your own moves here. So this is the introduction to the Scotch game. if you like any of those positions, you can study them through the Opening Explorer. For instance, if you go to Tools and you just go to Opening Explorer, you can see a little bit more. If you are a tournament player and you are playing a Scotch game, then definitely you need more. But in this video, I really just want to introduce you to the Scotch game, and then maybe later in intermediate 2 and advanced level, we go a little bit more into the details of this opening. Let's go back and see what other options do we have after knight d4. Look, bishop to c5 is an option, right? So now this knight can be protected by bishop e3, or you can play a move like knight b3, right? Now, when you play bishop e3, I see sometimes kids are blundering the piece here, so they continue with a knight f6, what's quite bad move, because after knight c6, knight is attacking the queen, and then you win the bishop. So that's a little trick that exists here. So what you can do, you can avoid this kind of trick by playing queen f6. Now, moving the queen this early in the beginning of the game, maybe you are not used to it, but this is what you have to do in this opening, right? Otherwise that knight c6 move is a threat there. Taking on d4, like for instance here, if you will just decide to take everything on d4, that's not a good option, because you bring this queen into the center of the board, and white is now in a better game. So we need to play that queen f6 move. And after queen f6, white can play c3, protect this knight. Black can continue. Knight e7. Bishop can go to c4. This is a powerful bishop on c4, so black can play a move like knight e5 and attack this bishop, and now bishop goes back to e2. Right? Better to e2 than to b3, because you will need to also to protect your king here, and the knight can start jumping around and keep attacking the king, so bishop will protect the king. Now queen can go to g6, attack this pawn here, attack the pawn here, castling, right? Now taking a pawn on e4 would be very dangerous for black, because yes, you take the pawn, but you also waste the move, because white would just develop the pieces, and then the attack could start on the queen and on the king. So regular move like pawn to d6 is quite nice, and this is how you can play against the bishop to c5, right? So that's introduction to Scotch game. I don't want to go into details here, because then I mean, you are on intermediate 1 level, so I just wanted to introduce you to Scotch game, and then later, if you really like this, we'll talk more about those moves. So let's see one more time. The Scotch game starts with d4, e5, knight to f3, knight to c6, pawn to d4, and pawn takes, and now you take knight d4. This is a Scotch game. All right, that's the introduction to this opening. Now black can play knight f6 or bishop c5. That's what we studied. Okay, boys and girls, how can you practice this? You can do it in the after school programs, and when you play, and if you need help, ask your teachers, right? That's one option. You can also play on Elite Chess, practice games, and then we can meet each other in the study room, like here. I can invite you to study room, and we can look at this position. You also can play games, like if you are in the Elite Chess, you could play practice games with your friends. Ask one of your friends to come and say, hey, let's play Scotch game. We can practice that. Or if you really want, you could also play on the tournaments. Like you go here to the tournament and you play, and I'm sure when you play on a tournament, you are going to get a Scotch game for sure, right? So that's what you can do. That's what you can practice. And for those who really want to learn more, you can go here to the Opening Explorer. You click on Opening Explorer, and you are going to get Scotch game here. Look how many opportunities are with the Scotch game, right? Now, when you take knight e4, look at all those options that black has. Bishop c5, knight f6. There are so many different opportunities and many games that are played in this Scotch game. So if you are really one of those very ambitious students that wants to study a lot, you can go here to the opening, explore, and see a little bit on your own, and then you can practice in the chess tournaments or art school programs. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and we'll see each other very soon. Bye bye.